Thank you. Well, Italy, as Greece, embarked in a very bold pathway of reforms in the last years, also thanks to the Recovery and Resilience Facility. I think both our countries are the countries where most of the funds were allocated to public sector reform. So we embarked in a very bold reform process. What I might want to underline here is that sometimes, even if it's, let's say so, a little bit provocative, but sometimes reform needs a compelling external architecture, deadlines, milestone, an external framework to move from intention to implementation. So what was really effective from the Recovery and Resilience Facility was not just the European funding, and it is something maybe important also for the accession countries in the Western Balkan region, where you have also a Western Balkans facility that has an overall governance architecture very close to the Recovery and Resilience Facility. So sometimes even more than funding is the important to have, again, binding deadlines and a binding governance framework that helps. In the last 4 years, Italy embarked reform across 3 main areas. The first one was digital transformation, of course. We had invested a lot in improving our digital public infrastructure, from the digital identity system to the app IO, a platform that delivers public services directly to citizens without any barriers. They represent a structural shift in how the state interacts with citizens, moving from a bureaucratic logic of presence and paper to a service logic of accessibility and proactiveness. Second axis was human capital. This is, in my view, the most important, but also the most underestimated. Italy has invested significantly in selective recruitment, reintroducing competitive pathways after a 10-year freeze in overall recruitment in the public sector because of, as a legacy issue of the financial crisis. And we also transformed from within the National School of Public Administration, SNA, which was a very fruitful cooperation with ECDA, by the way. And we transformed it into a genuine center of excellence with territorial training poles anchored in regional governments. And in some of these territorial poles, like Bari, we already have some capacity building activities with partners from the Western Balkan regions. We did so 2 weeks ago, and more is to come in this year. I also want to underline something about training and digital transformation. You can digitize the broken process and simply you make it faster at being broken. What you really need is reform-oriented and adaptive people who can adapt to technology that always advances at a much faster path than regulation, I would say. Third axis was simplification. On simplification, I have loved the contribution by the Deputy Minister and also by the Secretary General for coordination, in the sense that our experience is that you cannot digitize complexity. You really need to digitize and simplify at the same moment. Otherwise, again, what was broken in the analogic world is stayed broken also in the digital one. So maybe 3 lessons for all of us. First, sequencing matters. It's very important. Digital transformation, again, without prior process design, risk automating inefficiency. And leadership development without organizational reform risk cultivating talent that leaves then out of frustration. The reforms that work are the ones that address the whole system. Second lesson, ownership at administrative level is decisive. Political will is necessary, but even more necessary are the people in this room. So Secretary General, Directors General, those who then make it happen. Otherwise, simply change will not be resilient. In the last 10 years, Italy had something like 3 different major across-the-board public sector reforms, but we all remember the last 4 years. Third and last one, and maybe it's important also what Respa said about the newly introduced the mobility program. Peer learning between administration is underutilized. We need more of this kind of experience learning, as Elena said. we need more, not just to make reforms catch in the mindset of people, but because to achieve reform, our main allies are again the people in this room, the people who work in the public sector and not just consultancy or academic papers. I will stop here. Thank you.